Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, all the startups here, raise your hands. Startups, entrepreneurs. Okay, aspiring entrepreneurs. Because this is, primarily we are celebrating entrepreneurship startup here. So just want to see how many startups, founders, entrepreneurs here and innovators. Great. Very good afternoon to everyone. You've heard about the foundation, I'm sure, multiple times here today. You met a couple of our representations as well. This particular next 15 minutes is primarily on how do you pitch, how do you present, what investors look in a deck, and if you're raising commercial funding, what is it that you should be doing. So that essentially is the agenda. How many of you are looking to raise funds? Oh, only 4. How many of you have already raised funds? And what about others? If I can get the sense. What are you expecting from this session? Anybody? To understand the art of pitching. Okay, but who are we pitching to and why are we pitching to? Very important, right? And that's again, let me again ask, how many of you are looking to raise funds? I think everyone should be raising hands. Everyone wants money, right? Who wants money? Okay, great. So, my name is Ankit and I'm Director Ecosystem at Wadhwani Foundation and lead the Lift-Off program, which is one of the largest acceleration program for early stage startups. It's a 3-month acceleration program virtually that we do across India. Last 2 years, 2,500 startups have gone through the program, spread across 20 sectors, 125 cities, 18 states. We work with incubators, accelerators, state startup mission, investors, VCs, and kind of bringing this network to early stage startup to help them go from level A to level B. So that's primarily a quick brief about the Lift-Off program. So I'll not go into much of the data, just quickly, just to kind of give you a brief. In India today, as a DPIIT registered, we are 130,000 plus startups, right? Just looking at the DPIIT registration, and of which the data last year showed, any idea how many got funded? Out of these 130,000 startups, how many actually raised funding in India? Less than 1%. So 10,000 startups on an average has raised fund in the last couple of years, actually. And last 2023, last year itself, only close to around 500 startups raised funding. And this is commercial funding that I'm talking from institutional investors, not grant funding or friends and family, but actual commercial funding. So what's happening? And then another data that we have is 90% of the startups fail. Why? Product market fit. We usually hear this about product market fit, but let's see what are the top reasons that investors or the startups have failed. Undercapitalization. Okay. Product market fit or no market need. Just to define, for your services, for your product, there is no market need. Lot of cash burn to get your first customer. So your CAC is very high. Poor unit economics. We don't know what's happening. We are burning cash. We are doing marketing. We are building the product. We are adding a lot of features. We are hiring. But we don't know where the where the things are going. Incompatible team, which is very, very relevant for early stage startups. And finally, what we see in majority of the startups at early stage, let us build, customers will come. Let me build the features. These are the best available features in the world. I have added everything that a customer would need. Once I launch it, they will jump at it and they will buy my product. So build it and they will come, the mindset. Why investors decline? Let's just quickly look at what investors look and why they decline when you pitch or when you will go to pitch to an investor. We can list down all the factors. So these are some of the factors considered by investors when they are evaluating a pitch. And first and foremost is the entrepreneurs, founders' track record, relevant experience, passion, how well they are aware about the problem that they are trying to solve, how well they are understood the customer who is going to pay for that. Very important. And then the rest of the things are all about business. These are 13 reasons why investors decline. I am not going into details, just to kind of give you a quick brief on why investors decline. And very important is, and you will see it's all related to market need, or it's all related to whether as a customer I need that product or not. So that's essentially it comes out to. This is primarily now, how do you get your first investment? What do you need to do in terms of A, B, C, D, E? So getting your first investment, first and foremost is having a perfect pitch that you can go and talk to someone. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm trying to build. This is what I have gathered feedback. There's a problem, and this is how I'm trying to solve that problem. So pitch. Now, as a pitch, you have multiple avenues. Who are you pitching to? And very important, if you're pitching to a customer, you have to have a product pitch. But if you're pitching to an investor, you have to have an investment pitch. These are two different, and most of the time, 99% of the time that we've evaluated startup, we have seen they come with their product pitch while pitching to an investor. Product is one slide, but we see 10 slides on these are our features, this is how my app looks like, this is the demo of my app, and so on and so forth. What investors is looking is, how do you make me money for me? And that is something which is missing. So who are you pitching is very important. Is your customer, it is your team, it's potentially a employee that you're going to hire, it's a vendor, or it's an investor. And all of which will have different pitches. For an investor, very important at the early stage, you start with what's your story? And that's the hook that you have to create while pitching. Why are you trying to do something that you're doing? What's the reason behind this? You're passionate, you're experienced, you got this problem for speaking to so many people, blah, blah, blah. But what's your story? Make sure that you have a good, relevant story from an investor's point of view. Then comes the very important part, which is the model. What's your business model and how are you going to make money for me as an investor, right? So this is very important, but first is your team. Why are you doing this? And then you come to how are you going to make money from this? Most of the time we have seen they don't know all this. And these metrics are very, very important if you're going and pitching to an investor for raising your first check. This is not, I'm not talking about friends and family, I'm not talking about grants. I'm talking about institutional investors raising anywhere between your first 50 lakhs, 1 1 CR, 5 CR kind of thing. Ensure that you know your matrix. Most of the time at the early stage, you may not have a lot of these matrix, but you should understand the logic behind when they're asking what's your CAC, what's your LTV, how do you calculate that, so that they know that you understand the unit economics of your product, how much you're selling it for, and how much you're going to bring money home back in terms of revenue and profit. And sometimes people confuse GMV with revenue and profit, so make sure that you're not, you validated all those concepts very well. This is what looks like the 12 slides that you should have in your pitch deck. Everything extra that you add should go in your annexure. Make sure that you have these 12 slides, well-defined, crisp, built into a story that kinds of creates an interest for the investor or whoever is listening. You have Startup Dangal coming in, I think, starting now. And whoever is pitching, make sure that you're talking about these 12 slides, right? And what are these 12 slides? Starts with your story. Why are you doing this? For whom you're doing, what is the problem that you've identified? Customer, solution. Why is this the right time and not 5 years down the line or 5 years back? Why now? Very important. Then your team. Who are the people who are building this? And the rest of the thing, the second half is all about the business. How this makes a business opportunity for an investor. If he is investing, let's say 1 CR, can you make it 4, 5, 10, 15, 100 CR for him, 100x, for example, right? So show me the money kind of thing is the second part. Quickly on, and this is from an investor's perspective, how things are evaluated so that you know what happens when you send your pitch deck to an investor or to any of the jury. There are multiple steps of screening. The very first screening happens at an analyst level. These are junior executive level whose job is to look at whether you fit their mandate, you fit their the ask that they have, you fit their sector that they're investing in. And if you qualify that, then you have a second round and third round and fourth round. Your job as an entrepreneur is to qualify step 1, get a first meeting with their investment committee. That's your job. And then rest depends on a lot of other stuff. But first step is to get that first meeting. That will only happen if you have a good pitch, you have a good pitch deck, and something that you send as a note to whoever you are applying. This is on valuation. A lot of times, we have seen entrepreneurs, and now more importantly with the Shark Tank, everyone is coming with great amount of valuation with no revenue or very little revenue, and then, but you have a very high aspiration on valuation. Now these are the factors that an investor look at while valuing your startup. There are multiple others, but these are major 5 factors where you can command a high valuation or they can negotiate on valuation.
Done.
One more. Next slide. Yeah, this is one slide that I want to kind of give you. On an average, when we evaluate, so as a foundation, when we run this program, when running this program, every day we evaluate minimum 10 decks. And each deck, what we have seen is 20, 25 slides. Everything that you know, entrepreneurs have put it in the deck. Now imagine a 20-page deck. It takes around 30, 40 minutes to evaluate one deck if you have to go through in detail of each of these pages. That's approximately 6 hours of work. No investor today has time to spend 6 hours daily on looking at those. So your job is to get that first screening done, 12 crisp slides that, okay, this is what we are doing, generates interest, and you go for the second round, right? So imagine this is happening every day with the investors who are evaluating decks. Your pitch, Deepak, you have anything to add?
No. If we have any question, then welcome.
Any questions from anyone?
Any doubt, any query?
Hi, Ankit ji. First off, thanks a lot for that enlightening presentation. This included pretty much everything that was needed to make a great pitch.
Right.
My question is centered more around a founder who's earlier in the journey and is still transitioning to the point where they want to have conversations around how they should pivot their startup or how they should grow their startup to come to a point where they can start raising funding.
Right.
Could you share some thoughts on what are the kind of questions that founders should be asking from investors like you to learn better?
Right. So I would kind of share my experience. You shouldn't, if you are not prepared and if you are very early in the journey, I would suggest do not go and pitch to an investor directly. Identify relevant mentors who can help you, or look at the portfolio company of a potential investor that you want to look at and how they are doing, to take that understanding of how that investor look before investing. So speak to those founders who potential investor that you want to kind of take fund from has asked those questions. Early stage, one, if you are not prepared, you should not even go and kind of expose yourself. Better to go to a mentor, incubator, accelerator, someone who has already done, get that level where you understand all these areas, and then eventually go and pitch to an investor. Reason being, again, if I'm an investor, I have a ticket size of spending, let's say, 1 CR. You're looking at 10 lakh. So very vast, and then that thought remains there. Okay, he had come, he was very early, and even if you go after 3 months, it will always be there. Okay, you had come that time, 3 months kya kara hai? And if there is no progress, then you lost that opportunity forever. So do not blanketly, and this is what we call apna CV, you see these flyers coming in newspapers, right? Blanket pitch deck, sending into 500 VCs, that database is available on LinkedIn, and sending out email. Should not do that. Identify what stage you are, what type of funding, and then who's the relevant, do some research, then apply, or wait when you are ready and then apply. Chances are very higher. Second, very important, India, US, well, let's say US example, we have 1.25 million angel investors. India is less than 10% of that number in terms of angel investors. And chances are, if you have sent it to one angel investor, he would have already spoken to other syndicate, and the decks are moving on. So that same investor will have deck, other investor will also have that deck, and third, and then it shows that you have not done your research and you have sent it to everyone, and the deal usually doesn't go forward. Hope that answers the question.
Thanks a lot.